Hi lovelies, a little note before this ep, we're going to be talking about grief, death and violence. We've included some support and resources in the description of this episode, but if these topics are triggering for you, then it is totally okay to tap out of this ep.
I definitely feel like I've got a lot of things on my mind.
Okay, well, this is why we started a podcast. It's free therapy. Woo! Everyone
100%.
gets free therapy. Welcome to Not So PG. I'm Brooke Blurton and my pronouns are she and her.
I'm Maddie Mills. My pronouns are he and him.
Right at the top of this episode, we'd like to acknowledge the custodians of the land in which we record this epic podcast on.
For me, that's the Gadigal People of the Eora Nation.
And for me, that's over here, it's the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nation. So let's get into it, Maddie.
Let's do it.
Lovelies, we've been back from our little hiatus. We had last week off because unfortunately we had a lot on. Maddie had unfortunately a loss in his family, so we thought it probably wasn't appropriate to be recording and to give him time to do sorry business and take the time away. So we're excited to be back in some way. I feel like...
Yes, there's so much on our chest.
I know. We've missed you guys. I definitely have missed you. I feel like I have been lying to you guys. I've been deceitful. I've been faking out that I'm actually in Australia, but I haven't been, and I feel bad. I was going to say jaded. No, I feel like a fraud because I'm not very good at lying, and I've had someone obviously like been taking care of my socials and, you know, making it out as if I'm like in Oz, but what I've really been doing is filming another TV show, which is exciting, but probably not the right time to talk about it now. So we will talk about that, but...
Yeah, we do want to let our viewers know that,
Brooke's a fraud.
Brooke's a fraud, and that we have been lying to you. Seeing that lineup of who is on that show, I can only imagine what that place would have looked like and been like...
Some really big voices, right?
Yeah.
Some really big voices. And you know me, I'm big when I'm like with my people.
Yeah.
You know, I'm an extrovert when I found my people. You're the same.
Yeah.
But naturally, I feel like I'm more an introverted I'm more of an introverted person.
Yeah.
If I'm not in a trusting environment. And playing a game like The Challenge, it was a challenge, I must admit.
So it's called The Challenge. Does that mean it's sort of like Survivor vibes versus like Ninja Warrior?
Yes. So how I've been describing it, right, is Big Brother. Like you live in the house together, you're building alliances.
A new what do they say? A new bombshell enters the villa.
That's Love Island.
That's exciting. I mean, we'll probably unpack that a little bit more as, you know, more information is allowed to be public.
Yeah, I feel like I just wanted to say that I wasn't a fraud. I was actually away, guys, but secretly was still recording the podcast. We're like very grateful to be back. Anyways.
Oh, Lord.
So that's, I had to make that confession again, obviously, that I'm sorry, guys. I do love you. I am genuine.
Yes. I think that there's a bit of an elephant in the room. Obviously, like over the last week, something's happened in my life that has, you know, been really traumatic, and it's a absolute devastation for my family. So my brother Mikey was murdered last week, and it's really been, I think I would have to say, the worst week of my life, honestly, and because I feel so much hurt for my dad as well. And I think that that's like where my heart's at. Like, I'm someone who thinks of others before myself, and I feel like the most of my hurt is for my dad, and it's like because I can just see that he's hurting so much. And so basically that happened last Friday night, and it was just the worst way to get a call. I was out with my best friend, and we were having like the time of our lives. Like, we were saying to each other in that moment, like before I got the call, how much fun we were having. And because it was just the two of us in the moment, and his name's Ollie, and he's just my best mate, and he's been my rock through this, and we were having the best time. Like, we were dancing like we were 20 years old. You know when you're at like a club and it's not too packed so you can actually dance? And I just remember thinking to myself, I was having the best time, and he was vaping, and so we're in the vaping area, and we were saying that to each other, like, oh my gosh, like tonight is so much fun. Like, it felt like we were like had just left high school and we were just like dancing like crazy cats and like just having the best time. And then it got to about...
I mean, you've been working really, really hard, and like I feel like this was like, you know, when you need that big... Like that, like let your hair down. Moment.
Yeah, and I'm not someone who goes out and dances a lot. Like I haven't over the last sort of 5 years because I've been in a relationship, and that sort of, you know, party life hasn't been something that has been too regular in my life. But we were having the best time, and then I was like, okay, I'm going to go now, and it was like, you know, 1 a.m. and so I walked outside the club, and as soon as I sort of got outside the club, I had my brother call me, and I thought that he was going to be calling me because he might have been out on a night out and we're going to have like, you know, like cute drunken bro convo, and like he was going to be like, what are you doing? And I was going to be like, oh, you know, I'm just leaving the club. What are you doing? I thought he'd be having beers with his friends. And then he told me about what happened to my brother, which I don't want to go into the details because I just don't want to go there. But he told me about what happened to my brother, and I thought he was joking. I thought that he was joking. I actually thought, like, what a fucking awful thing to like joke about. And I started to get like angry, like in the moment. I was like, what are you talking about? Like, no, he's not. No, he's not. No, he's not. And I just kept on like telling him that he was joking, but he obviously wasn't. That sort of like night went from the most incredible moment to like the worst moment of my life within a phone call. So since then it's been really tough. It just my luck, right? So I remember getting home, and I was on the phone to family, and I was talking to my brothers, my dad. I even spoke to you, and then I was like, okay, I just got to get to my dad. Like, I got to get to Tamworth. And so I booked a flight, and I got to the airport in the morning. So to get to where my dad was, you have to fly to Moree and then drive an hour and a half. And so when I was on my way home in the car from being out, I'd booked the flight and I'd booked the hire car because I was like, that's the number one priority, get to my family. And then so I don't sleep all night. I, pack my bag. Oh, God, when I reopened my bag and saw what I packed, it was like a crazy person packed the bag. The items in there, like, it was like random shit. It was like not even practical stuff. Like, I had these ugly fucking...
you would have been in shock.
100%.
Yeah, 100%. You would have just been like, what is... cat, dog,
yeah.
vase?
I literally had like the fuggliest blazer. And I was like, where the fuck am I going to wear this blazer? Like, I'm not going to a business meeting. Like, it was just the most random bag of mixed goods. So basically, I pack my bag. I get a car to pick me up and take me to the airport. I get to the airport. I'm sitting at the airport and I'm like in shock. I'm feeling like I just don't know like how to think properly because I'm in shock. And so like everything seems like a massive task. Even to like order a coffee was like this massive moment. And anyway, so I'm about to board the plane and I'm sitting in this bus on the tarmac, which takes you to this little plane out on like the tarmac. We're sitting there for about 20 minutes and the lady gets on and she's like, we have engineering issues. We're just trying to figure that out and then we'll be on the plane. And I'm like, okay. And then 20 minutes later, she comes on and she's like, sorry, guys. We're going to have to swap the aircraft. And I'm like, okay, this isn't looking good. Like, you're giving me excuses why we're not going. And then the one flight that day that goes to this destination gets cancelled.
Are you kidding?
Because it's a weekend, they only have one flight. So I'm at the airport and this person told me, like the lady tells everyone that the flight's been cancelled, that we have to go back up and that they will try and find a replacement aircraft. That was just a positive in the situation. And I was waiting at the airport for the replacement aircraft until the flight got cancelled and we're told that there will be no flight today. And so I had to go home. And so I...
Wait. So you've just literally like gone out and then you found out your brother's passed away.
Yep.
You've then gone home, irrationally like packed your bags.
Yep.
Booked this flight.
Yep.
Got to the airport.
Yep.
The flight
there. We got out there on the tarmac. Like
on the plane. The plane then, they got off the plane.
Yep.
Your flight was cancelled.
Yep. And then had to go home.
And then you went all the way back home.
Yeah.
To Sydney.
It was like the worst. It was the worst experience because I just felt like I couldn't get there.
To be with your family.
And I said to the guy, I said, "Oh, well, when's the next available flight?" And he said, "Tuesday." This is Saturday morning. He goes,
"Oh my God."
"Tuesday." I said, "What do you mean?" He goes, "Yeah, every seat that goes to that location, there's only a couple of flights a day on like weekdays as well. Every seat's booked out until Tuesday." And here I am. I just put my glasses on like this and I just walked to the fucking taxi rank. I was like, I just need to get home. I went home to my house, crawled into bed, turned my phone off. I went from needing family and wanting to be with everyone to nobody talk to me or contact me. It was the most weird thing. So I turned off my phone. I slept in my bed for 24 hours, didn't move, didn't want to I didn't even want to know that it happened. Like it was denial. And then I finally, sort of picked up myself and found a way to, get home. And then I got back to my family. I was with my dad. By that time, they'd gone to Tamworth, so they'd left Gundawindi and gone across to Tamworth, where my family live. And so I finally got home and was able to be with them for the remainder of the week. And it was just one of those moments where it was like what it felt like. Have you ever, like you would have, woken up with that really awful hangover and your brain feels swollen? Yes. So that is the perfect feeling of the grief that I was feeling for the whole week. And still at the moment, it's like...
You just feel heavy.
It's a continuous hangover. And I was like, when is this going to go? Like, I felt like I just wanted to take the Panadol and for it to go away. And it just didn't. It was, obviously the worst fucking week. And then basically, went home and my brothers have been the most incredible support for my dad. My older brother, he really stepped up and he was so supportive of my dad in the moment. So because I couldn't get there, my two brothers then drove from Tamworth across to be with my dad, and my two brothers have really stepped up in this moment, and I feel so proud that they have done that, because normally I'm the person who swings in, saves the day and can find solutions. In this moment, I couldn't be there. So my brothers did that. And for me, it was just the most beautiful thing to see. And continuously, still now, my older brother Nathan especially, he's just done the most incredible job of just being so careful and loving towards dad in this moment. And obviously I've got a lot of support online as well through, social media and stuff, which I have felt very loved and supported online by, everyone who sort of follows on social media, which has been a really beautiful feeling as well.
It's so nice to hear that your brothers have really stepped into that role, because I know that how much responsibility and pressure you feel to always be there for your family, and you are the rock and the person that keep it all together, and you're just so clued on and you just know what to do. You're straight to the solution, and you're like, what do I do? How do I fix this? We're probably similar personalities where we just want to fix and make it better. But we forget about ourselves. I think in that moment, just hearing you wanted to do the immediate fixing thing, which is to be there and try to be there for your family, but you didn't realize and how much it would have affected you. And I think when you stopped and you came back and you nested, I think that was, for me, I did the exact same thing. I crashed and burned so hard when my sister died. I just couldn't move. And I just went into work mode. So I was the same with you. I went into shock. I was hustle. Like I was doing my backstory the day before my sister's funeral, and everyone was like, are you sure this is okay? Like, are you fine? Are you good? Like, are you sure? And I'm like, it's fine. Like, I just went completely in denial and was like, nah, it's not happening. This hasn't happened. And it catches up with you later. And I know you're so strong, Maddie, and I know you feel like sometimes, you know, you're running like your own show in some way, but you were so loved and supported. And like, it's so nice that we can openly talk about these experiences, because people wouldn't know that, you know, from an outside, it's all happy days. But then behind the scenes, this is the reality. And I remember you calling me, and I was out to lunch, and I was like, literally looking around at these people that I was at lunch with, being like, I just want to be there for the people that matter. And the people that, like, I care about. And these people won't understand what the contrast of our life is.
Yes. I wanted to tell my manager, because I had to, like, have things cancelled, like, immediately, because in my brain I'm thinking, for the rest of the week, oh my God, I'm not going to be able to do this stuff. Who am I going to let down? Even in that moment of, like, finding out that my brother's been murdered, I still had to think of others. I wanted to share something.
You're so selfless. It's like this, it's like so inbuilt in us to feel like we are letting people down or disappointing people, even in a moment of fucking crisis. Where you've just had your brother literally died and murdered. And we are considering, oh shit, we've got to cancel our business meetings for the next fucking day. It's just absurd that we rush to that. And I think I said to you, don't even worry about the podcast. I'll message Elise. I'll sort it out. But you still went and you still didn't want to let Elise or myself down, and were like, is it going to be okay? Like, yes, it's going to be fucking okay, Maddie. Like, go be with your family right now.
But you know what? I when you told me that you filmed your backstory the day before your sister's funeral, I had a moment this week where I needed to do work, and it was the moment I was in Tamworth, and then there was a moment where I just needed to I cancelled it earlier in the week, and then I thought to myself, you know what? No, I need to go and do something. I need to get out of this feeling just for a minute. So I actually did a day trip to Brisbane and worked, did like 4 interviews in the day, and just like had a whole day of shooting, and then came back to Sydney. Like, I just needed to separate the home grief. Like, in my brain, I thought, okay, I don't want to just go straight home. Like, I wanted to go and do something so that it could like change my vibe, and it really didn't. But I thought it would help, and it was a good. I think for the day it was a good distraction. But it's a temporary fix.
It's like that. It's that shock value. It's we do talk. I used to have all these posters when I was working in youth work. I used to have these posters in my office, and it was like the 7 stages of grief. And I think, the first one is shock, and then we spoke about denial, and then you spoke about anger. And I think
I'm at anger. I'm definitely at anger now.
You're in the anger stage, which is totally normal.
I feel that I'm at that anger stage, and I feel like, and you know what? Like, there's other shit going on in my life as well, like personal stuff that I'm not going to address on the podcast. Maybe down the track we can unpack that. Stay tuned.
When you're ready.
Mob.
Yes,
but
when we're ready.
There's other stuff going on in my life that has just also increased that anger. So I am this little ball of anger. And last night there was an experience that happened while I was out that made me fucking angry. So I was standing with my friend next to one of those heat mushroom lamps. What are they called?
Oh, yes.
Yeah. It's like a gas heater, and it was cold, and I was in this courtyard of this place with my friend that I was catching up with, and this guy he's standing right near me, and he goes to me, excuse me, you're blocking my heat. And I said, oh, okay, no worries. I turned around and I thought, no worries. I'll just step to the side. There's your flame, babe. Have your fucking flame. And then he said to me, oh, are you South American? And I said, oh, no, I'm Aboriginal. And he goes, and not he turned around and said to me, he goes, well, congrats on your free dental and everything else you get. And
Fuck off!
I know. And this fucking man, I looked at my friend dead in the eyes, and then I turned to him and I said, "What did you just say?" He goes, "Oh yeah, congrats on the free dental. Wish I could get it." And I was like, "Oh!" I said, "What do you mean?" He's like, "Well, you guys get free dental and everything else." And I was like, and so anyway, I ended up schooling him, like, I basically just like word vomited everything that I wanted to say to him, and put him in his place pretty quickly.
Did you go to town? Because I would have went to town.
You know what was worse? He was a black man. Not First Nations, but
like
from Africa.
Minority. Yeah.
He said to me, and he thought that allowed him and gave him the entitlement to be able to say that. He goes, "Well, I'm from Africa," and I said, "I don't give a fuck where you're from. Like, I don't give a fuck. Like, what you just said is extremely racist." And then I was like, once I had
from someone who would obviously know what it's like to be a part of a minority group, and oppression is a thing.
You know what we got for free? Intergenerational trauma. We got the stolen generation for free. That's what we fucking got for free. We didn't get dental for free. We don't get free cars and free homes.
Why do people think that that's a thing and assume that we get free cars and bullshit? Like, that's...
You know what? Bring it on. If it's out there, would love to have it. But it's not. It's not. And I said to him, any benefit that a First Nations person can get in this country, a non-First Nations person can get. I think that there's just obviously been this brainwashing, and it comes down to education. It's about what people hear at school. It's about what teachers teach. It's about what universities teach. It's about what books are written. There's this education out there, miseducation out there, that blackfellas
get free shit.
Yeah, and are compensated for the trauma that we experience. Absolutely fucking not.
Absolutely not. Yes.
When it's priceless. It's absolutely priceless. Like, seriously.
The only thing we're getting for free is intergenerational trauma.
And the rest of the list, because I can fucking rattle it off. Like,
100%.
It's like, and I didn't say that to him, but when he had left, I turned to my friend, and who's so lovely, like, he's my best mate, and he said to me, "Oh, I wish I would have spoken up more in that moment," because he was like, "I should have taken on that conversation and I should have been the person." And I was like, no, it was fine. Like, like, I really wanted to, like, put this fella in his place because he just fucking pissed me off. And I was like, I'm at the anchor stage. This is not the matter you want. Like, you did not want this fella. Like, and then I just, there's so many things I wanted to say. Like, I wanted to say, yeah, you want that fucking flame? I'll show you the flame. You want the heat?
I'll burn your bloody eyebrows off. No. Well, yes.
And eyebrows off. And then,
there's
my
so
God.
much to it.
Yes, and then later in the evening, I run into him. Later in the evening. So it's like an hour later. And he introduces his ex of 8 years. So there was this, he was with this guy who I didn't even talk to in that moment. But then later on in the evening, I ran into him. I was at the bar and he came up behind me. And he goes to this person who he was with. He goes, "Oh, I met this guy earlier and he's racist." About me.
Fuck
as
off!
a joke. And I just was like, "What?" And then he goes, he like says to the ex-boyfriend of 8 years, "Yeah, he was really racist earlier." As if like he
didn't just get schooled?
Yeah, as if he knew he was being racist and that he wanted to make a joke about this moment. And I just was like, fuck, I'm done with this. Like, and it's just also like that catty gay culture too. Like, he just wanted to, like, to be snappy and bitchy. And I'm just like, this is why I didn't go out for 5 years. Because of motherfuckers like you. Like, sorry, I'm angry.
Oh, that infuriates me. I mean, I thought I heard it all. But I think that for me, the free dental, wow.
Yeah. And you know what else we got for free? The fucking day of mourning for the Queen, which then had to move my brother's funeral. So basically we had planned the funeral for the 22nd, and because of the new public holiday, nobody else in the Commonwealth can be buried on or buried on that day. It's like the weirdest thing ever. Funeral homes aren't open. That's basically the bottom line. And we had
Wait, can we talk about this for a second? Because
it's like,
so the funeral was pushed earlier, not later.
Earlier, but they actually wanted to push it another week. So when I first made contact, they were like, yeah, okay, sorry, not going to be open. Let's push it to the 29th. I was like...
So your poor brother
my poor brother
have been able to...
100%. And anyway, so we sort of... It's very hard, and I'll tell you why. It's because it's a small town. There's, one funeral home, and other people have obviously passed, and so they have funerals that are already booked. And so, to move the date, it's actually quite hard to find
directors to.
Yeah, and because it's a remote location too, so it's not like it's.
This is what. Okay, yeah. So I've actually been talking to a few friends of mine actually about funerals and celebrancy, because if you become a celebrant, you could do weddings and ceremonies, so you can actually do, I wouldn't say a funeral is a ceremony at all, but it's a type of ceremonial
totally.
And I feel like there's not many people in the world that do understand how Aboriginal funerals work and the procedure and how sorry business is done.
Yep.
And I have actually considered I know this is really weird and I'm taking this in a very dark and sort of unusual route, but I felt like I've done enough funerals in my life now, which is kind of sad, I know, that I feel very desensitized to a part that, not desensitized to the funerals, just more, I guess, death in a sad way, but at the same time, I think the funerals that I've been to haven't really felt like, in some way, given the people that have passed away justice in the way that they should celebrate their life. And it should be, I know funerals are sad and you can't take away that. People are always going to be sad. But I've always felt like if I can give the people that are close to that loved one that's passed an experience where they can grieve and feel safe and feel, happy that that person is in a better place or at all, whatever, then I felt like I could do that. I know that sounds really weird. I kind of came to terms with it when I had to organise my sister's funeral, and you would know how complicated and difficult organising a funeral actually is. It's so conflicting. And when I did my sister's funeral, one part of my life was putting out publicity shots for Bachelorette, and then the other half of it was picking flowers in a casket. And for me, that was a really a wake up, being like, wow, I can't believe that this is my life. What am I doing? And I had a bit of a wake up, and I was like, I've over time thought about what that means to me for my people in my community. Was like, how can I make this process easier for people? Because it's so hard. And so, I just didn't know. We spoke about will and stuff like that in the previous episodes of our podcast, and I'm still kind of unpacking that and stuff like that. But, just like funerals, there's no person I feel like you'll know that will just do that process, and you just kind of can step back and trust them. And I kind of want to be that. Is that weird?
No, I think that's your nature, is to be able to care and look after people. And I feel like because you feel that you have so much experience because of the amount of death that you've seen, that you would be able to give that comfort and do
comfort,
and be able to do the family justice and the person justice who they're having the service for. But what I was reminded by? Do you remember when we were talking about death and you said that you have a fear of dying?
Yes.
And I was reminded by that because it's so scary to think this, but I've lost two brothers now, and they've both been in their early 30s. And it's like me and my two brothers out of the boys left, and I'm like, it's just a scary thing that it's like, you don't know when the end is at all. You know what I mean? it's just like crazy. Like it just makes me think that like
so
fucking
young.
hell.
Like that's not a life lived,
No.
right? And you know, we already as Aboriginal people have a lower life expectancy.
Yeah. But the Queen gets to live to 96, and you know, and I had this. You know what? When I put up that thing about the Queen. The day of mourning of the Queen, and because I had a lot of my brother's extended family and friends messaging me, you know, about the funeral. So I shared this thing about the changing of the funeral date, and then because of the day of mourning for the Queen, and there was this white fella who inboxed me online who has like 100,000 followers and is like verified and just pinkdicksyndrome.com, and he inboxed me and he's like, I don't actually. Let's read it out. How about that? Let me use his words. I'm sure this wasn't a deliberate action to disrespect your brother, you, your family, or your mob. No fucking shit, Sherlock. Like, it doesn't make it hurt any less, though. You know what I mean? Like,
no.
I absolutely 100% know that the monarchy haven't pinpointed this situation and gone, let's put the day of mourning on the 22nd so that Maddie's family have to change the date. Absolutely, I know that. Like, why would you even message saying that? You know what I mean? Like, anyway.
No, you're just expressing what is, you know, so valid in your feelings about how, you know, the Queen dies. Look, to be honest, none of the First Nations really give a fuck that the Queen has died. Sorry, but like, we don't respect the monarchy and we don't respect the patriarchy. So
well, guess
it's
what?
all colonized.
I click on this fella's page, and he's done a whole fucking collage on the Queen. Oh, bless. Like, literally, like he's gone to the effort of creating a collage for her. Well, that's obviously where that's coming from. But yeah, well, thanks for listening to my sad story this week. But yeah, and thank you everyone who's contributed to the GoFundMe page, because that's been a massive help for my family. I know that the first thing that my dad was so worried about was how we're going to do this, and it was like his main concern was that he didn't have the resources to be able to put Mikey to rest, and just the community that have come out in support and just like donated and sent their condolences and messages. I just want to say that like we as a family have felt your love, and my dad told me, he said, I haven't seen anything like this. We raised, you know, $15,000, which is going to be enough for the funeral within like 4 days. And so for me, that was just like so beautiful to see. Like, I was like, wow, all I did was put it out there, and then everyone in the community just contributed to be able to take that pressure off my family. And for my dad, like, he was just like, you know, old black fella, he was like, wait, what? How did that happen? And I said, well, people out there love and support us. Like, they don't want you to have to worry about this. And so, yeah, that was just like something that I was able to see the immediate reaction from, because I just felt like this release of like stress from my dad because of this, and my extended family, because, you know, none of us like have biggest mob of money, and there would have been tough to be able to, for our family to have to go through this. It's even hard enough for people to get to the location. You know, they have to do accommodation, they have to do petrol. So my dad said, he's like, whatever's left over from this money, he's like, what we can do is we can just support the family getting here, so it can be like petrol vouchers, you know? And so, like, it's just been a massive help. So I just want to say to everyone who's contributed, I love you all from the bottom of my heart, and I really, really appreciate all your love. Thank you, Mob, for listening. We love you. We're so glad that we're back recording in studio, which is super fun, because you'll get the best of us.
I know. I feel like as much as this episode has been hard to hear what you've been going through in the last week, it's nice that we can have these open discussions, because I know it makes you feel supported, makes me feel like I can actually be, you know, ears for you to listen to. Yep.
But also, if anything from this episode has brought up issues, know that there is always help available, and you can call Lifeline on 13 11 14 or visit the website lifeline.org.au. We've also popped some other information in the episode description. But yeah, we hope that you're all doing well as well. Yeah, you might want to follow us on socials, especially Brooke, because she lost some followers.
I mean, I post one photo about the Queen and I lose about 1,000 followers. So please, guys, if you can, thanks for listening. Follow us on socials. Mine is at brooke.blurton. And Maddie, it's Maddie Mills.
Yep, whatever she said.